Hey everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a slow, bluesy country lead that I'm playing on electric guitar. Although you can do this on electric or acoustic, it sounds great either way. And it also sounds great on its own. You can actually play this one even without a jam track. Although I do recommend the jam track for practicing it and learning it. It's got the piano part and the bass part and the drums, and it keeps you on tempo. But anyway, we're going to break this lesson down into two parts. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the MP3 jam track to practice with, and download the tablature, and have access to the on-screen tab viewer, so many ands, you can get all of that at ActiveMelody.com. Just look for EP136. That's the lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and get started with part one. Alright, so let's talk through tone settings real quick. I'm running through a boost pedal, which is made by Moore, M-O-O-E-R, and it's called the Pure Boost. It's a great little pedal. It's one of those small ones too, a little mini one, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. But it just boosts your signal and gives you a nice little bit of breakup in your tone. Don't have to have that, I just thought it kind of worked for this. And now I'm running out of that pedal into another pedal by Moore, which is called the Trelicopter. And the Trelicopter is a tremolo pedal. So you can hear how the waveform happens in the tone, and that's what's causing that. It's kind of a vintage effect. I've also got one by Voodoo Labs, which is a tremolo pedal, and I like that one too. But the Trelicopter is nice because it's another small one, and it just takes up less space on your pedal board. So those are the two pedals I'm using. I'm running into the amp, and I have the reverb at about 30%. The only other thing to point out is I'm using the neck pickup on the Telecaster, so it has a little more of a bassy tone to it. If you push your back here to your neck pick or to your bridge pickup, it gets a little more nasally sounding. So it just depends on the effect you're going for. But anyway, that's the tone setup. Now the song is in the key of C, and there's 4 chords. So there's a C chord, there's an F chord, there's a B flat chord, and then there's a G chord. And we're going to walk through all of those chords and everything. In this video, we're going to play it up to the first turnaround. Now let me explain what the turnaround is. So this song started with a little intro, and the intro is super easy. It's a C chord, an F chord, and then back to a C chord. And that's it. And so that intro also serves as the turnaround. So it's kind of the breakup that happens between the verses, if you will. And so as you're practicing this with the jam track, that'll help you to, when you hear that, you'll know that it's time to kind of start the whole cycle over again. And the jam track runs for a little over 4 minutes, so you have plenty of time to kind of practice and loop through. Okay, so that first bit, there is a C chord, an F chord, and a C chord. Now I'm not going to show you how to make those chords. I'm going to assume you know how to make those at this point. But when we get into after I do the C, the F, and the C, I play a little lead part while holding down the C chord shape. So after I played that last C, I just let it kind of ring out, and then I played this. And what I'm doing for that is it really happens with my pinky. Here it starts on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, and I play that note, and then I play the open 1 string. So it's a downstroke and an upstroke with the right hand. And then watch this. I took my pinky off here and did another downstroke on the 2nd string, or the B string. So we have... And then I play the 3rd string, or the G string. So now... And now watch, my pinky goes down again on the 3rd fret. This time it's on the 4th string. And then it comes off the fretboard, keeping the C chord shape the whole time. So the only finger doing any dancing here is your pinky, and it's just going between the 2nd string and the 4th string on the 3rd fret. So again, from here it goes like this. Now after that I walked up the chord again. I noticed I did that on the intro. I didn't actually plan it that way, but it just kind of fills out the space a little better. So I just walked back up to the 3rd string and then back up to the 2nd string, those last 2 notes. So from the intro it sounds like this. Now watch this. All I did there was, after I played I took my ring finger and came down to the 3rd fret 6th string, keeping these other two fingers down on the fretboard. So you can see after I play this 3rd fret 6th string, then I came up and played the 4th string, and then played strings 3 and 2. So it goes like this. And that's just a real slow way of keeping the rhythm. And what you're doing, in essence, is your finger is acting, or your ring finger is acting as the bass player by going back and forth between these two notes. Okay, let me back up one more time. Now watch this. We're going to switch down to the B flat chord at this point. And the way I'm making that chord is I'm barring the first 5 strings on the 1st fret, and then I'm using my pinky. Now some of you will use your ring finger for this. It just depends on how you like to make this A chord shape, A bar chord shape. But I'm barring the first 3 strings on the 3rd fret. And I'm playing strings 5, 4, 3, and 2. And that's a B flat chord. And that's a nice chord shape to learn because you can use it all over the neck. So hopefully most of you know how to make that, but that's a B flat chord. So okay, so and then we go to the F, and then add in that little fill leg. So now before we move on to the F, I did want to point out a few things here with the C chord and this little lead part. Now it's very simple, very basic, but what your takeaway should be is to think about how you can start to use some of those notes if you're playing a lead, or if you're playing something in the key of C. Let's say you're at a jam session and the song was even more up-tempo. Think about those notes. You have all these little combinations of things you can do just moving your pinky back and forth between those 2 fingers. Now here's another thing. You could take your middle finger off, keeping the C chord shape, and then you have this. So just think about how you can embellish a chord like that in first position. It's always important. Each one will have its own little signature moves that you can do around it. But there's a lot you can do around that C chord shape. So, okay. So after we played the B flat, I came to the F. And then I went like this. So I played the F. I didn't do a full bar chord there on the 1st fret, although I could, I suppose, play all 6 strings. The way that I do it is I just play 5 strings like that. Then I played the open, or not the open, but the 1 string. And then watch this. I let my pinky off the fretboard and come up here to the 3rd fret, and I pick the 3rd fret, keeping these 3 fingers out of the F chord, and I hammered it onto the 3rd fret 3rd string. Then played string 2, and then string 1. You get this nice F sus chord. It's a great way to build around a major bar chord. And then I came back to the 3rd string, and then I just played, the top 3 strings there. Or maybe I just played the 3rd string. Either way would work. I can't remember how I did it. I think that's actually how I did it. Now, what your takeaway should be on that is think about how you can use that embellishment. Let's say you're playing something in A, and you wanted to do something to keep it sounding more interesting. If you're playing electric or acoustic, either way it works. But just start to file these things away and start practicing them. Take the jam track and see how you can just embellish over every one of the chords. Do the C chord. Just practice that one technique over every chord and it'll start to sink in. Okay, so after the F, Then I went a little country lick, and what I'm doing there is I'm keeping the F chord shape and I'm hammering on to the 3rd fret 2nd string with my pinky, playing strings 1 and 2, and then I take it off the fretboard and then play strings 2 and 3, all the while keeping the F chord shape there. Then watch this. I slid everything up using that same chord shape. Now I'm just playing the first 4 strings out of a major chord there. So this, now we went from the F to up to an F sharp and then up to the G. And once we get to the G, I throw in this little lead lick that's very easy. It's not difficult to do, and it's easy to visualize after I call this out, because you're going to see that what we're doing is we're starting on the major pentatonic scale and we're going to the minor. So after we play the G, I take my pinky up here on the 5th fret 1st string, then I slide it up to the 7th fret on the 1st string, then back down to the 3rd fret, and now I'm barring the first 2 strings on the 3rd fret so I can play 1 and 2. So we have, then my ring finger goes down on the 5th fret 2nd string, and then it slides up and plays the 6th string on the 2nd fret, or sorry, the 2nd string on the 6th fret, and I'm playing strings 1 and 2, which gives you a real bluesy kind of 7th sound. Now why does that work? If you think about it, here's your G chord, and I do this all the time. This will start to resonate with a lot of you, because you'll see a lot of repetition in a lot of these lessons. But that lick, if you think about it, your pattern 2 of the major pentatonic scale for the key of G is here. Those 5 notes. So when I went, I'm playing right there in the major. Now I know sliding up here, it's still in the major, but it's not part of this little pattern, if you will. But it would be if you had bent this string. So that's all I did. And then when I went to that note, I switched in my mind to the minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1, for the key of G, which would be here. See how that note is right in there? So that's why that works. Now, after that, to get back to the C, I played... Now that sounds complicated, but you're going to see that it's very simple, because all I'm doing is I'm visualizing the major pentatonic scale, pattern 1, for the key of C, which would be here. Now some of you are going, wait, why would it be there? Well, your C bar chord, if you were making a C major chord, would be here, so your root fret would be the 8th fret up here. So your blues scale, or the minor pentatonic scale, would be there. So remember, we slide everything down 1, 2, 3 frets, and it looks like that. So that's your major pentatonic scale for the key of C, which happens to be the minor pentatonic scale for the key of A. I know that's confusing, the whole relative minor thing, but you just have to trust me. It's the same scale played. It just depends on the chord to define what's underneath it, or what's played on top of it. So if you're playing a C, this sounds happy, versus if you're playing an A7th, same scale. Okay, so now that you know that where we're at, pattern 1 of the minor or the major pentatonic scale for the key of C, we're going to go. So we're going to walk it down. So that's the 8th fret 1st string, 5th fret 1st string, 8th fret 2nd string. And then watch this. Look at that. Now think about where we're at. Visualize the chord. Visualize the A chord shape for the key for C. It would look like this. See where my pinky is? You have these 3 notes. Well, these 3 notes happen to be in pattern 1 of the major pentatonic scale for C. So you can start to see, oh, okay, these are the same. So even though we're starting in pattern 1 and we're sliding down the neck, we're just playing notes right out of that chord. So that's what I'm doing. I'm the 5th fret 2nd string. I'm doing a hammer-on pull-off. 7th fret 3rd string, 5th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 4th string, 5th fret 4th string, just a straight box down. And then watch this. So we're going to go from the 7th fret 5th string. As soon as we play it, we're going to slide down to the 5th fret 5th string. And then we're back down to the C. And once I get down to that C, I just let my pinky come into place here to play the C bar or C chord shape. See how natural that is? You just walk down the notes of the chord, so it's very intuitive, I guess, to go ahead and finish that chord shape, however you make it, like this or like this. All right, let me back up. We've covered a lot here. Let's go from the B flat to the F. There's a slide up to the G. And then here's that little walk down. Now once we make that C chord shape, we're going to play string 5, 4, and then 2 and 3. You're just picking out the chord, notes of the chord. And then I come down, play the F chord, because now we're back to the turnaround and the C chord. And then we go through the second half, and the second half is where I come up and play. But that's going to be covered in the part 2 video. And then there's actually a third part that's thrown in as well. So there's actually 3 runs through this. So you have a lot of notes that I gave you in this. And what I want you to do is to really be able to improvise and be able to do this stuff on your own, so you don't have to be spoon-fed everything. And hopefully that you'll start to pick up licks maybe that you've learned in other lessons, or something that you picked up somewhere else, and can play those along with a jam track and start to put it in context and see how it all works. Now let me play through the whole thing now, this whole first part by myself, no jam track, so that you have this, and I'll do it slowly, you have it as a reference. So here we go, starting on the C. Isn't that nice? It works on its own. You really can play that on with just an acoustic guitar and no effects, and it sounds great because you're defining the chords and then you're playing lead around those chords. I love this style of playing. It really makes you work hard as a guitar player because you got to fill a lot of space, but it's very rewarding. All right, we'll see you in part 2.